Welcome to my Star Wars Outlaws review, where we're diving deep into this game's overall experience for all types of players. I took in consideration people who love open world games, stealth games, action games, and played this with that mindset. Actually, as of recording this, on my second run already, and had myself a good time. But I do have some gripes that I want to talk about, break down my thoughts and feelings to help anybody who's on the fence if they want to purchase this. And if you just want to hear somebody's opinion who is a Star Wars fan, loves stealth, and feels like this game has a bunch of different things going for it, and a good time for those who might want something special. Okay, with that out of the way, I do have my partnership with Ubisoft. They were kind enough to send me an early review copy. I had multiple days to play through this game, over 40 hours as of right now, and pretty much have the full experience and my second playthrough that's close to that. So we're going to dive deep down the rabbit hole. Remember, this is my opinion, my thoughts and feelings. I don't represent Ubisoft. They gave me a code, but they did not ask me to say anything specific besides that Star Wars Outlaws comes out on August 30th. So you can check it out for yourself. If you check this review and it's something that interests you, go for it. But again, to each his own. If you're not a Star Wars fan, if you're not an open world stealth and action type of game, will this be for you? Right off back, I would say probably not. Stick to your linear games, go play Pokemon Go, whatever it is that you personally appreciate, go for it. I'm not here to convince you to purchase this game. This is my personal experience with it, and there is some biasness because I do love Star Wars, and there's even more bias because I love stealth, and this game does have some stealth in it. It's not full stealth game or anything like that, but they have the option on a lot of missions. And so I personally love that a part of the game, and I don't think everybody will. So there is some situations here where you will hear me break down stealth in detail because it is my favorite genre. But again, if that's not something you're into, you don't worry, because it's probably 25% or so that is mandatory stealth. Maybe 20%. Then the rest of it, you can go guns blazing, get caught, and a lot of it will allow you to do what you want. We're going to get into all of it. Let's go ahead and talk about this game. I want to kind of introduce you to Kay Vess, a young scoundrel in the underworld, basically going against and working with the syndicate as they battle for power throughout the galaxy. And it's super interesting because you're not only in one planet, you start off very small, and the game kind of takes you through the journey. And the footage that I'm playing in the beginning is literally my first hour of the game. But this actually just introduced you to Kay and her small struggles and her troubles, let's just say. And it ends up opening up to multiple planets, and planets we know and love if you're a Star Wars fan. But they're very interesting even if you weren't a Star Wars fan. A lot of different things going on within them. And you're able to traverse from land to the sky, fight enemies in the sky, do some missions out there, and then go into the next planet if you want. But there's also a fast travel mechanic, which just makes life easier for somebody like me who puts in hours and hours. There comes a point where you just start using the logic and fast travel when necessary. So it's nice that they allow that. I was afraid that it was going to have to force me to get on the ship every time, and they do have moments where you have to use the ship to escape. They won't let you fast travel, but it's because of the story or something very important that's happening that's part of it that doesn't want you to cheat your way through. So I love that personally. It was awesome. There will be no spoilers, by the way, for the story outside of maybe seeing a couple of enemies here and there. Mostly you'll see me infiltrating bases and taking down enemies for the most part, unless I'm showcasing some features and things like that. Just to be clear, I basically don't talk about the story too much. I just share what I felt about the story pretty much and let you experience it on your own. All right, so we're going to start off with the open world. Do I recommend this? Again, an action open world game with stealth as a core mechanic. There are mandatory moments, but then most of the time you're free to go guns blazing and just be a madman and have fun with that as well. If you're stealth focused, you can do at least 60 to 70, 80% of the game stealthing. And I love that personally. I'm going to do my second or third run, depending how much I love this game. All stealth as much as possible to see how things turn out, because it does reward you. If you're in an enemy's base and you never get caught, your reputation won't go down as much, and you'll be able to kind of finesse all of the different factions rather than guns blazing, shooting everybody. And it actually doesn't matter. And I know this is going to sound a little crazy, but I do have tutorial guides about the reputation system. But you can break your relationship and build it back up. This isn't like a broken-hearted relationship. This is business, all right? Everybody's out for their own. And if you can help the cause, you'll start building better relationships with them. And I'll showcase a little bit of that and explain it a little bit later, but it's a super important mechanic that you're going to end up really appreciating and enjoying tons of when you get your chance with the game. So make sure you check that out and see for yourself so that you can understand where we're at with all of that. Okay, now I want to talk about a couple of things. The first couple hours, you're playing these missions that are like, don't get caught, don't get caught. And this would probably drive a new player who doesn't like stealth crazy. And they actually might not play this game. I think that there's going to be people who are like on Steam or something that after 2 hours, they're like, this is all stealth. I can't do this. And they're going to get frustrated. I love stealth, by the way. But I do think I just want to warn people that, yes, the beginning does have mandatory do not get caught missions. And after that, it opens up and it lets you get a little guns blazing and wild for a lot of the missions. But every once in a while, you'll end up having those. And I do break down in detail about some of the mechanics and gameplay. I have the guides, tips, and tricks videos that are coming out for this game as well. Didn't just do the review. I wanted to make sure I give you guys the best possible experience from what I've learned so far. So make sure you check that out to help you not go through the struggle, which I actually went through as well. Just so you guys know, you're going to see me experiment and actually try different things to see how the enemies react. So how far can they see me from? Can I run past them? Can I run behind them? Can I do these type of things? I always test it out in stealth games, because once you know it and you know the game's logic, you're able to have an easier time. And so for me, that's important. And so I would recommend to do that as well. Don't take it too serious. There's checkpoints everywhere. You're not losing XP or anything. It's not a Souls-like game. You're just going to play and end up, experimenting until you figure out how the enemies react and don't react. And personally, I love that. I thought it was very cool. So definitely give your time and energy to that. And I wanted to kind of say, it might be a deal breaker for some of you. The first 5 hours, that stealth stuff does get like, oh, wow, this is really, truly stealth. I was surprised, anyways, that the game kept focusing on that from the tip-off. And I said, oh, wait a minute, they're really honing in. And they actually do a good job with some of the mechanics. And you're able to really see how the level design and overall stealth is something that they cared about. And ours are a lot of gripes I have, which I'm going to discuss them thoroughly, I promise. It's one of my biggest issues and good parts of the game is the stealth, which I'll get into shortly, but it's definitely something to think about. With that out of the way, there's a lot of action, and you're going to be in the thick of it at all times, struggling between the factions, dealing with, the Empire, who's basically the police for those that never played Star Wars or heard of Star Wars. Basically, with the police trying to control things, and you might invade their base. You might invade one faction that you're working with's base just to steal something from them to give to another faction. There's so much going on that is such a cool, dynamic experience, and that I recommend for people to check out on its own because it's a good story there, but the gameplay ties into it. So it's a very fun system that they created, and I love that. Like, really, really love that. And I think that it's definitely fun. And it's basically, Star Wars Outlaws makes it so that you're grounded. You're not sitting here with lifesavers. You're not dealing with the Force powers, no Sith or Jedi that are like, doing all this Jedi mind trick stuff. It's like you're really a criminal and you're really out there trying to figure it out. And so in this first hour of my gameplay, I was testing out how Nyx feels and works. I was testing out the mechanics and can I run up on somebody and take them out. As you see, these things are important to me, and it felt grounded. And this is the reason I bring this up, is because the whole game is grounded. You're not sitting here, teleporting or doing anything reckless. And I love that. But at the same time, she's very limited. And that is where the gameplay picks up as you get stronger and you unlock different things. And I just felt like this was such a cool way to design a game where they actually took the time and did not just give you, let me just put some lifesavers and Jedi in here and make it that type of thing. Like you can see, I struggle in this first part trying to figure out a couple of mechanics, seeing how the game works, and it made me say, okay, I got to stop running around like a madman and really play this game a little more strategically as well. So in my first hour, I got humbled a lot because I died a lot and I failed on some things, and it was interesting to say, okay, I get it. I'm going to take it easy here and play a little smarter. And this goes for the story, a well-grounded story. And personally, I believe that we need more Star Wars games that are like this. And it doesn't have to be specifically an Outlaws game, but this is a story that's outside of the general scope of Jedi vs. Sith. And why not give us some fun stuff like this that can explore a different world with endless stories that could be told from the syndicate's standpoint, the criminal underworld. They're in a war zone with each other. The syndicates are battling. And what's very amazing is the actual reputation system. If you guys don't know the reputation system, I'm going to break it down in a second here, but I loved the reputation system. And I think that many of us who play these type of games will love it as well. Let's talk about it for a second here. And remember, there's no spoilers. I'm not really going to go too crazy into this, but the 4 different factions, there might be a little more than this because you have the Empire and possibly other people that you might invade, but these are the ones you could build reputation with. And the reputation system is so amazing because in here, as you can see, you'll start off at poor, which means you're basically not able to enter areas, and you can get a job or two here and there. But if you start getting good, all of a sudden you can get items from the merch, you can get extra job opportunities, you can access their areas, their personal territories, and then a bunch of gifts. And then when you get to excellent and then max that out as well, now you have full access to everything. You're trusted with all the missions, and you get the merch exclusive items for maxing out, as well as extra rewards. So this system kept me engaged more than I could tell you. I maxed out 3 of these factions, and I'm working on my 4th. But basically, this system is so insane because it's not only just picking up jobs. Every job you do, and most of the jobs, not every job, you can basically betray the person you're working for. Let's just say Jabba the Hutt sends me on a mission to steal something from the Pike. And he says, yeah, give me this thing from them. I want you to get it. When I get it, I have a decision. I can give it to the Hutt, or let's just say I give it to Crimson Dawn, because I want to build my reputation. So there are things like that you can do. And it happens not only in the story where you're caught either framing somebody, betraying them, working with another team, but in the side missions as well, they'll have moments where you can decide to help or hurt. They want you to deliver something. Well, you're not going to deliver it. You're going to give it to someone else. Things like that are so dynamic and exciting as far as story goes, because I'm 100% certain nobody played the way I played. I worked on Crimson Dawn early. Within the first 10 hours, I had it maxed out. And then I did a Shiga clan right after. And so it is fun. It is interesting. It's an intricate part of the game. And I mean, like, very intricate part of the game. They actually cared deeply about this because it is tied to the story. It's tied to everything. You have endless moments like this that I personally thought, wow, okay, they really, really did something special. And it's a big part of why I got deeper into the story, deeper into the system, the choices I get to choose, the freedom and the benefits that I'll get out of each of these guys is where it stands out, because there are rewards I'm not going to showcase because I don't want to spoil the game, but the rewards really will buff your character, give you things like extra stealth or extra health, or maybe more grenades or health packs, different things that you can wear, and charms that you can buff your character, which we'll talk a little more about the builds and stuff in a minute. But that to me was one of the coolest systems that I experienced, and that I thought, okay, this is special. These guys really know what they're doing, and they're really taking their time and putting you in tough situations. And sometimes there were situations where I had two factions going and they were very done well, but I had to choose who to frame or something like that. And it said, oh no, now I'm in trouble because I'm going to ruin my relationship with one of them. But you can build that back up pretty easily. It is not complicated. It's not some rocket science type of thing. And I enjoyed that too, because you don't want to feel restricted, like, oh, I can't get all the rewards, or I can't work my way through this relationship with this guy or that guy or any of that stuff. So that was super exciting. And speaking about things that I really loved and that I thought were extremely well done, this is about abilities and their skills that will basically make you overpowered. And you basically have a skill tree, but it's not a traditional skill tree. And I got to give Massive Entertainment, the guys who made this game, super credit. Little quick spoiler warning. There are some characters in here that you probably don't want to see the cameo of, but they're in here and I'm going to showcase them. So you have the bartender. Just an example. This is the first character you get. I'm able to do melee attacks, mini games to unlock things at the door. I'm able to trick people with some fast talk, putting my hands up, kind of showing them, hey man, don't shoot, instead of the alarm going off. So it lets me do that. My favorite one, which was the first one I tried to unlock, which is extra health right here. It's pretty basic, right? But it's very important because you start off with low health and it's easy to get. And just an example right here, it says defeat enemies with fast talk with the stun shot. And that's all I have to do to unlock this next skill. And what's cool about these guys is each of these members, each of these experts have abilities and different things that you can unlock that are super powerful and that are very helpful for your build. For example, the smoke bomb, one of my personal favorites, very fun and cool thing to do. Another one over here, I just need to find specific items to upgrade and get this skill. And all I got to do is look at the right and see where to get it. What's cool about these guys, and this is not a spoiler, but I just want to showcase some of them. The issue with this is that you don't have all of these guys to start off with. You have to find clues in the world, talk with people. They'll give you hints about an expert. They'll tell you he's on this planet, he's on that planet. And it's your job to hunt them down, talk with them, and then build your relationship as well. As you build your relationship and you do whatever missions that they'll ask you to, that's when the game opens up their skill tree and you're capable of doing some fun stuff and really experiencing the game. And to be honest with you, there's one specific person who put me through some card games, and Sabak is a game that I really wasn't going to play, to be honest. I just wasn't into mini games as much in video games. I'm already playing a video game, but this thing made me play one just to try to get to the expert. And then it made me play another one. And I had to play about 3 games. And they're pretty much 10 minutes, 5-minute games. But started playing and I didn't stop for 3 hours. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to admit my addiction. It became a problem because I'm supposed to be reviewing this game, and I ended up saying, oh man, it's like I'm playing poker all over again, gambling or something. And it was so fun. And I'm like, hey, this is a cool game. Like, I wouldn't mind playing this if it was real. And I'm sure there's some Star Wars nerds out there who has the game, maybe. Let me know in the comments. Somebody knows this game. I could buy the cards and teach people how to play this. Where do I hang out with these people? About to win some money because I felt like an expert by the time I finished my 3 hours of just sitting there late night, supposedly reviewing a game and just indulging. All right, I indulged, and what is cool is that I actually got the expert a long time ago, like the first 20 minutes of doing that mission. And he ends up putting me through some amazing Star Wars stuff. And like, I really got, I was just having fun doing all that. And then he puts me into what I say was like a true Star Wars experience. You know, you're in the Star Wars galaxy dealing with the Jedi, with the Sith. And then there's, you know, the rebels, there's all types of different things. And it just clicked so heavily. I'm really in the Star Wars universe. I am a criminal and I'm doing all these bad things, but man, I'm in it. And it was so amazing in that moment, just for an expert that wasn't part of the story and that wasn't mandatory, just somebody you can find in the galaxy traveling the world. So take your time and do that, because I had a blast. Like, I really had a blast with it. And I thought, okay, these guys are really doing something fun, unlocking these guys, instead of it just being, let me get XP farm to unlock these characters. It's actually a very cool system. And so honestly, I wish I did a walkthrough of this game and wrote a full guide. I've done it before for other games. I didn't want to do it for this one because I didn't have the time. But just a guide on every location. I might have to replay and figure out where they all are to get you guys that info for my guides. But as a review-wise, that was impressive. And it made me very excited, very happy to see that the skill tree was gone and that they had this system. It really made a lot of sense. And true Star Wars fashion. And speaking of Star Wars fashion, you're infiltrating bases, you're stealing files, data, rescuing someone, plenty of things like that. But the game is filled with lore areas. It has the personality of Star Wars, not just with visuals, but with the sound, with the characters. Like, it's so thick in the Star Wars fan. I think that, I mean, I can just give a Star Wars fan this and make it a mode where you don't play no combat and you just explore the world and see what's going on, and you'll fall in love with all of the cool elements, in my opinion, and the scenery, the level designs, the amazing music, and overall feel was just top notch, in my opinion. And I want to talk about stealth. You've been watching my first playthrough and my first hour. It's a little embarrassing. I didn't do my best. I'm usually very proud stealth player, but as you can see, I'm literally getting caught every minute, and it's not working out the way I want it to. And even though this will probably be decent gameplay for the average reviewer, man, I want to redeem myself and play the whole game without getting caught. They did a good job with a lot of these level designs. There's certain things that are super fun. You know, you have your standard sneak and go through events and try to unlock the door and all of those general things that we kind of love, but I don't consider the best for stealth. For stealth, to me, is really crazy cool takedowns, tools. Like, for example, Nick's is the most amazing, in my opinion. I adore Nick, but he's also a useful stealth tool. You can basically distract enemies. You can attack them with him so that you can creep up and grab them and do things like that. There's so many ways to play with Nick that I thought was really fun to have him as a tool, but they also very limiting on some of the things. The smoke bomb, for example, not allowing you to throw it, and you can only throw it at your feet, made it so that you're restricted. You only using it to basically get away from a bad situation, which is great. But I would have preferred to be able to throw the smoke grenade at the enemy's feet and then just run around, stealth, and do all this cool stuff. But I think maybe they wanted to limit you, and it's very limited when it comes to some of the stealth. One of the biggest gripes, my absolute thing I hated most about this game, was that some of the takedowns are very long. You're sitting there creeping up, and then as you hit the takedown button, you'll have an animation where you tap them on the shoulder and then turn them around and you punch them and then you grab them and pull them to the ground. Like, just very long ones that if I'm playing stealth, like, I want to be able to quick assassinate and go to the next person and continue taking people out. And that was a big problem for me overall. And that was where, for me, as a stealth player, those type of things, there isn't a mechanic for you to, speed up your animations. They're just there. So I ended up having to learn and experiment by running and stealth attacking. And you can't always trigger that depending on what type of stealth you're doing. But running and doing a stealth attack will allow you to actually get a better take out. And we're going to, a better overall when it comes to the game stealth takedowns, because you can take them down faster, quicker, easier if you did that. And so for me, I ended up learning that and getting used to just like, okay, I'm gonna have to try to run, even though I'm 2 feet away from them, run attack just to get the faster animation. And I think any good stealth player will start doing this and start saying, okay, this is how I need to go about my play and figure that out. Okay. Definitely something that was frustrating. There's other little things like that were kind of like, I wish, and this is coming from, by the way, just a disclaimer, I literally love stealth games more than any game genre in the world. And so I played every single type, and I'm always very critical about them because I want the best experience. And I didn't play well stealth-wise in this game. One, because I was trying to do things that I'm programmed and used to do that other games will allow us, and you can't do it in this game. But what's cool is you do have a lot of tools and you do have a lot of capabilities and stuff like that. And Nix is the #1 tool I would recommend. Just don't fight too much. Use Nix to distract and go around the enemies. Use Nix to attack them, and then you take them out. And in this whole clip here where you'll see me try to experiment and learn the mechanics as I go. Again, not everybody's into stealth, and there's some things you're not supposed to get caught, and then there's other times where you can just go in guns blazing and have fun with it. It's very cool. You can see right there, this takedown takes long. It's pretty fast compared to other ones. There's really long ones, and those are the type of things that really got on my nerve. I can care less about the vents and climbing. Those are just general gameplay stuff that people add to the game. The stealth, to me, is where the game should be better. And personally, I definitely felt the pressure of that. And so that would be my biggest gripe. I can do a whole video about that, which I just might do multiple videos for this review because this is a long one. But yeah, back into the Star Wars world. Man, listen, you're going into these bases, you're watching me right now get caught and in trouble, and I just wanted to show my failures as well while I fooled around and just tested some things. You're going to get lost in this world. The sound is incredible. The level design is incredible. You're dealing with the Imperial soldiers. You're dealing with the Empire. All of it playing a cool role, in my opinion. And I love it. And I just want to say, this game really truly has the Star Wars shining. And the Criminal Underworld is a game that I think should exist as far as like more stories, more movies, more TV shows. I know there's been some comics and things like that focus on this specific time that we're playing in, but you don't have any movie outside of Rogue One that is really truly in there with this type of experience. And even Rogue One had a different feel, but it was definitely something that you can just think about. And so I personally feel very, very much like applauding what they did here. Very creative and a different spin. And I want to kind of stress, you know, there's way more to this game. And I mean, like, space has some incredible stuff. You're able to jump on your ship just from the planet and then do things like that. And there's so many different ways to experience Star Wars. And so when I was on the ship battling other people and doing some missions or side missions or main missions, it changed the game for me and made me more excited for the series as far as like more the game than ever. And you get to do that pretty early on, a couple hours in, you'll end up in space. And we all know that this is a fun time to be in Star Wars. And so you're battling all types of people, pirates or whoever you want to try and think about. And that, to me, them being able to capture that feel of true Star Wars experience really made a difference for me. And that told me, okay, this really is a Star Wars. And there's a variety in the gameplay, and there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. There's tons of variety in the gameplay, okay? Where you can do the stealth stuff, you can do the action stuff, you're escaping sometimes, you're chasing somebody, or you're trying to run away racing in the vehicles, they're chasing you. All within the story, it is there for you big time. And it does change everything. I would label this game a open world action and stealth game, pretty much. But you can go guns blazing. It does affect your reputation. It can disturb you as a player. And yeah, you're going to start off with a blaster like me. You can see here, I'm learning the game, trying to figure out some stealth mechanics, but not doing the best. But the point is you're very capable as this character, but you're limited to this one blaster. It has 3 modes and you can upgrade it, and it's actually very easily flowing. I actually love the blaster. You know, you could just switch out pretty easily. It's like switching weapons, but instead you're just switching modes. And that's how you have to look at it. You have 3 different weapon types. And I think if you start paying attention to that, you're going to be able to say, okay, yeah, this is super cool. This is definitely something I love, and I'm all for it. And it's going to help you really, really change the game for yourself. But again, I recommend stealth as the main focus. And now I want to try and not go too heavy into stealth because I talked a lot about it. But that would be something that you guys want to figure out how you want to go and what you want to do with your personal gameplay. Now, I want to get into a couple of different elements of the game. You know, you see the climbing, you see the stealthing, you see the shooting, all of that stuff. But the game doesn't have anything revolutionary that's like, oh, this is the most groundbreaking system. As you can see, some little vent walking. It doesn't have anything that's, oh my gosh, this is outrageous. But the reputation system that I talked about is revolutionary in the sense that you're going to get immersed in that, trying to get the rewards, working for the factions, and you can get lost in it, all right? By the time I finished the game, I had 26 hours, and I didn't really think, damn, I didn't think I was done. I'm like, oh, we're done. I actually was mad that it was over. I said, dang, I still wanted to continue to do the quest for the factions. And I ended up doing my second run, and you could keep playing the game after. And so that was fun for me. I loved it, because you could just work with the factions, get everything that you need, and go from there. And so personally, I thought it was good. And I want to kind of judge the game and give you guys a score, but this is not the end of the review. It's kind of like just the beginning, to be honest. But honestly, if you're a big time Star Wars fan, you're going to give this game a 9, right? It's extremely well done in a lot of ways. I had basically 1 crash, 2 visual bugs, you know, and then 1 glitch where I got stuck I jumped and rolled into something and got stuck. And that was pretty much it. So under 5 little errors that were quickly fixed. There was nothing game breaking. And that was it. other than that, it was a good time. And for a Star Wars fan, you're gonna really experience a lot of cool Star Wars stuff, some lore in there, and then some general, very interesting parts. That's all I could say without spoiling. And then you have for a casual, this game could be a solid 8 if you want like open world action games with some stealth and interesting game designs and features. Personally, that's what I think. For me personally, I have it in between 8.5, about a 8.5 overall, because it is well done in a lot of ways. And you could actually just skin Han Solo into this game and basically make it like he's a young kid trying to get into the underworld for the first time. And of course, I know they got the Han Solo movie, but in a video game, we've never got it like this, where it could introduce him. And it could have just been him, and we would have had a good time. The game probably would have been very popular because it's like, oh, I'm playing as Han Solo, and kind of role playing his early life as a criminal would have been just as good, in my opinion, or even better received, possibly. And the reason I bring this up is because I actually believe the actress did so good with her performance, strictly because we're so used to these heroes either being comedic, you know, their whole family got killed, they want revenge, but then they're throwing jokes in the middle of that situation, or other times like, you know, they're too cynical and like the reluctant hero. And there's nothing wrong with these type of stories, but the point of what I'm making is that it's like we get this too many times. And for her, she's a very well scripted player who's so charming and so fun, but you know, she's out there in the criminal world trying to make her way, so she's a tough kid, and that was special. And I felt like, I'm not sure if it was just the writing or the actress who kind of made that shine and stand out. While I don't want to spoil no story, you know, this character is winging her life, right? Just winging it in the underworld, trying to do everything she can, but she does it with the charm that's amazing. And I loved it. And so I'm interested to see what the DLC will offer, how this game will basically play out, and what comes of this game in the future as we go through the experience. Because I did enjoy it, and I am coming back to it, and I feel like there's some really cool stuff that I feel like they did right, and I would love to see the continuation of this in its own way and how that would develop going forward. As far as the end result when it comes to my story aspects, I will say that, you know, you end up doing some things that are meaningful with the factions in certain ways that I'm not going to really touch on, but there are some things there. So whoever you want to build or bond with, it might come back to help you out. And then you have the actual story where Kay's trying to get through all these guys, and there's so many layers to each of the factions and so much going on behind the scenes. They're at war with each other. They're supposedly trying to help each other. Yeah, okay, buddy. And you know how that goes in the criminal underworld. It's super cool and interesting, and who knows? Who knows what could happen here? And so for me, that was super exciting and interesting to kind of explore. And so I do recommend this. And this is probably my longest review video I've ever done, because I wanted to get everything off my chest, and this was not scripted. I did have some notes on a couple things I wanted to touch on, but that's pretty much the overall experience. You're going to have yourself a good old time. I definitely think some people will love this. Let me know what you're feeling, you're thinking about this game as I share my personal experience and just give y'all what I felt. And remember, I'm a Star Wars fan. I love stealth games. I love open world games. This has all three of those things that I can enjoy. So I definitely have my biasness, and but I still give it an 8.5, maybe. If you're a casual, an 8. If you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, a 9, because it has some really cool moments and there's a lot of lore into it. But that's pretty much it. Thank y'all for tuning in. I do have guides, tips, and tricks. When I'm allowed to put them up, you're going to see them on the channel with the exact releases and go check those out so you can get your experience if you like it. If you didn't, feel free to let me know in the comments what are your thoughts and what sold you or didn't sell you. Did my review help you out, make your decision? I'm just here sharing some thoughts, man. Appreciate y'all. Y'all stay safe out there. Stay blessed. Peace.